gets in the zone, she plays crazy well too. And speaking of, we are loaded in here in the top left position of Death Aura. We have the blue Protoss player, Nina.
And in the bottom right side of Death Aura, we're looking at the main base of our Canadian Terran player. It is MaSa. I have to admit, Nate, I generally can't remember the last time I casted MaSa. For some reason, I didn't get him in the previous seasons. I think he missed out on one of the DreamHack adventures as well. It must have been over a year ago, like maybe a DreamHack Montreal or something, but it's been a long, long time ago. And I was actually in the same game as MaSa was.
That's wild. That's absolutely wild. Quick eBay block here. MaSa, it's like every time that I get asked to do any American or Canadian StarCraft events, it pretty much 99% of the time is MaSa playing either Neeb or Nina or Scarlet. It's like one of the usual suspects. Estrella is getting up there now, but yeah, MaSa always has that weird thing though, where he plays way better in actual Canadian events in Canada than anywhere else. But I guess we're gonna get Void Rays.
Yeah, finish the eBay. MaSa, finish the eBay. You already have an eBay. No, I think that's a big mistake, right? Like, why wouldn't you just finish up that eBay? Wouldn't it be so nice to be able to build a missile turret?
I agree. Well, you know
so
me.
Crazy.
You know me. I've got posters of missile turrets on my ceiling so I can look at them while I lie down in my bed at night. But yeah, no, this is one of those weird things, right? Like MaSa is doing something that you would think, oh yeah, like this is a great way to mess up a Protoss player who's doing a normal build order. But then you're like, it's Nina. Nina beat Future 2 games in a row with this crap last season.
Oh my God.
All right.
Can you believe that the Marine missed the probe by like 0.1 second? It couldn't have been any closer than that. And now this Marine is checking around everywhere. Not quite the Hero Marine we saw earlier out of Hero Marine. This Marine has missed it. Has checked almost every single corner of this side of the map besides the one where there are 2 pylons and a Void Ray and a shield battery. And there is still an eBay that's 99.9% done. If you ask me what is going full NA, it is having an eBay at 99% and not finishing it up.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you there, because like, what do you expect is about to happen? Like, a Protoss player, did you think that Nina was going to go build the 3rd in a random other location? Seriously?
I have no idea. Like, obviously there's some crazy immortal cheeses as well, and sometimes it's a random 2nd gateway, right? Like a max packs opening, but for the love of everything, just finish that eBay. If it's 2 base against 1, you know that those 25 minerals are not going to make the difference. This is so insane to me. I actually think that MaSa is kind of dead in this game.
Yeah, well, this is what happens when someone like discovers a really good play that breaks down a defensive package and every team runs it for a week, and you're like, you know, you have to kind of adjust for this sort of thing. And the fact that MaSa just gets blindsided by this is mind-boggling to me. It really is. He's going to build a Viking, which the Void Rays now have a tremendous amount of support to fall back on. Although Nina needs to be careful. Losing any Void Rays here would be a colossal mistake.
Got very close, but in the end, this actually works out for Nina, right? Because now you're going to get a few more shots off on these Marines. Even though the Void Rays are very close to falling, there is a Cyclone finishing up. The fact that MaSa's on 1 base in a way is nice because it's quicker access to a Viking and a Cyclone. On the other hand, there is no economic advantage, right? There is no double orbital. So pooling SCVs to repair stuff actually really hurts the economy. Void Ray's low on HP though. Void Ray does fall, and Prismatic Alignment does not get the 2nd Cyclone. All right. MaSa is making this a proper defense now.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't like the way that Nina's positioning those Void Rays. Like, if you want to put the gateway units up the ramp, I get that, but breaking the bunker is highly unlikely with the SCVs there and the Vikings and the Cyclone, so I'd prefer if she just played off of a position where she can actually use the shield batteries, because right now, I mean, just losing that 1 Void Ray almost kills this opening. Like, the whole point of it is that the Void Rays don't die, you know? Like, that's literally it. The Void Rays are unkillable because you have all these shield batteries. and then they melt everything. But now MaSa is able to get himself up. He's got a Viking or two now. There's mag field accelerator starting up, so this kind of just gets shut down because the Void Rays are also, they've lost enough hit points that you have to be really careful trying to move them in again.
Now, the funny thing is that Nina decided to take her natural, where you would normally take your third or even your fourth base, because there was an eBay block before, but then the eBay block was actually already cancelled, or the eBay was cancelled. So this was a bit unnecessary. Nina was transitioning a little while ago, though. We already saw Twilight Council go down. Now Blink is like 35% done. If you get a bunch of Blink Stalkers against the army that MaSa has, it's not that bad. On the other end, mag field accelerator, you only need like 2 or 3 seconds on the Stalker, right, to lock on, and those Stalkers will melt. So this now just becomes a really funny game, where I think MaSa is going to bring a whole bunch of SCVs and try to win on one base.
Actually makes a lot of sense. I have a feeling that that's probably what we're going to end up seeing. Just bring everything, maybe land the Vikings if you feel like you need to. With mag field, everything's going to melt, and Blink is nowhere near as good defensively as it is offensively. So the opportunity to just push here from MaSa should be, yeah, there you go. You called it.
Yep, but I also feel that Nina should just get a few more shield batteries. There's a lot of potential. All you need to do is, I think, defensive Blink, break the lock-ons, and then just let the batteries do their thing. But I think Nina's getting a little bit too greedy here. Like a 7-worker lead while being a base ahead as well and not knowing what's actually really happening. This is the first time Nina spots his army. Nina should really get a few more batteries or just a few more units. If the Blink micro is fantastic, Nate, it's possible.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy. They're trying to blink out of the shots of the Cyclone, but two of them get very low. But you do need to get those things low. The damage is super real. SCVs not keeping that front one alive. It does get picked off. Widowmine's going to borrow. The Vikings are going to land. We know the Vikings are incredibly good versus both Stalkers and the probes if they're used to pull against this. And they are 2 Vikings and 2 Cyclones with a handful of Marines will do a tremendous amount of work against this. However, it is important to note that, I mean, a couple of the workers were brought by MaSa as well. So it's not that there's a big lead there. Blink's forward onto the mine, though.
Well, that's a hold still in the end. I really think that MaSa should have either disengaged or just take down the battery. But I don't know why we still see so many people fight in range of a battery for the entire duration of it. Like, Nate, units don't die. The amount of healing that Protoss army got during that fight was absolutely ridiculous. Worked out perfectly for Nina, though. And now all of a sudden, MaSa's in a bit of trouble as one more Viking goes down. The second one gets picked up as well. During that fight, there was a Viking just chilling on the bottom side of the screen, by the way, that could have joined. Didn't join, but Terran players really need to realize either you kill the battery or you disengage. But taking a fight like that is so silly, because now all of a sudden, I think MaSa could be in a bit of trouble. There is at least one safety tank, but I love this Blink positioning by Nina. Very well done.
Yeah, and this is a good way to do this too, because the Cyclones are also going to be very weak on a defensive position, right? You can only kite so far back before the Stalkers can just shoot the command center, and then you come up, you try to get that lock on, and Nina blinks forward, takes that 1-tap kill on the Cyclone, still outside the range of the siege tank with the rest of these units. And all she wants to do is make this natural taking as impossible as she can for MaSa while she gets up charge. Her third base is finished up. And that's, yeah, that's a rough spot to be in. If you're MaSa defensively, you're kind of, this game's just been very weird, to be honest, as we expected.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's not that weird, nah. Like, this seems pretty standard to me. Some proxy Void Rays into Macfield Accelerator, into a fight in the, you know, the total duration of an overcharged battery. I wish StarCraft 2 would give us more numbers. Because if I would have to guess how much HP that battery healed during that fight, I mean, I don't want to say it's over 9,000, Nate, but I would... It's at least like 600, 700, 800 HP or something on these Stalkers. It's absolutely crazy. That fight would have never gone Nina's way if it wasn't for the fact that that was an overcharged battery.
Yeah, these are the things that I don't even know. I'm like trying to think, but it's just hard watching some of these games sometimes, trying to come up with words to describe what's happening, because sometimes I just don't know. It's just been so weird. SCVs were pulled, but it wasn't too many, and we'll see. We'll see what we can do. We've got that Liberator harass coming in, but Nina's on 3 bases, right? Like, she got that third Nexus up crazy fast behind that attack, misses the Liberator with the blink. But I imagine the best thing for her to do is probably, get the Prism and just try to put, I don't know. MaSa's going to two-base all in, right? He's not taking a third. He's not taking a third.
I don't think Nina needs to fight into MaSa if MaSa is forced to attack into Nina anyway. The only thing I kind of wish that Nina would have done is double forge, because I think +1 attack is awesome, but obviously +1 armor is awesome as well. These Liberators are really starting to be a nuisance though. And this is actually going to add up because, yeah, Nina's got a 5-worker advantage and a base advantage. In this way, you're obviously not mining more. Over the last 2 minutes, MaSa has been mining a bit more. Obviously, there is going to be +1 on the bio units as well. This is still pretty terrifying. If I was Nina, I would just not fight until that army is close to my base, but not sieged up, and just use the prism, warp in a couple zealots in the main base. Well, Nina's gonna go for it anyway. Guardian Shield, this may not be a bad fight. Just don't lose all the stalkers, Nina.
Yeah, you know, I was about to say, like, this is the whole reason why you and I are both like the whole fight. Obviously, MaSa was going to do a 2-base all-in from this kind of position if you've ever watched a MaSa game before. And now, there's the recall, but deal with the Liberator and just keep warping stuff in. Just get the biggest freaking army that you possibly can. Don't leave yourself vulnerable to dying. I think there's some sort of backstab going on, but honestly, if you've got a prism inside of... Yeah, you have to be careful not to warp too many units in here.
Yes.
MaSa has no problem lifting all these buildings if he thinks he can kill you straight up. Like, that's just what it's like to play against him.
Yep, well, guys, it's now or never. Nina has a much bigger army, but some of that army's on the other side of the map, but extra batteries have finished up. That is maybe a little bit adventurous on the blink. Those stalkers are going to be kind of obliterated by these tanks. A little bit of bio does survive. Nate, yeah, it should be enough for Nina, especially with just a couple of extra zealots. Yeah. It's going to be totally fine. GG gets called. Nina wins game 1, which started off with the good old proxy Void Ray, and then it just became a little bit weird.
Weird is a very kind way to describe it, Kevin, as that was definitely a game of StarCraft 2. Just, you know, we got the eBay block, we got the proxy Void Rays, we had the Void Rays being flubbed a little bit, then the big counterattack gets out. All right, we're going for something else. And MaSa's like, yeah, I'm going to pull every single worker that I have because this is me. This is who I am.
I do love the last minute of that game. I think Nina honestly made all the correct calls, not taking a full-on, like, I'm ultra-committed engagement in the center, but no, just shaving off a little bit of that push, forcing the tanks to siege, slow it down, and at the same time send the War Prism to the main base, knowing that MaSa is very all-in. There is nothing keeping that War Prism safe. Like, I think Nina made all the correct calls towards the end of the game. And yeah, even in the middle of it, I think Nina actually played a pretty good game. I think it's mostly MaSa who made a couple of questionable decisions. The biggest one being taking that entire first fight in range of that overcharged battery. Just how many more games do we need to see where a battery keeps every unit alive for 20 seconds until we realize, like, maybe those things are really good and we should respect them.
Maybe we should respect the shield batteries and the infinite hit point zealots that they power. I could not agree with you more, Kevin. That didn't end up being the end of the world in that game, but it certainly would have made it a little bit of a more clean follow-up and follow-through for the Protoss had it been. Looks like map number 2 is Romanticide, so I don't know. We've seen people Void Rage easier before. I think actually the only other game I've seen Nina play versus Terran was on this map. She proxy Void Ray rushed, so MaSa's not going to really scout that hard for it. I don't even know why she doesn't try it again and just maybe focus on the execution a little bit more. Could probably win just off of that. I don't know. Or maybe this is the game MaSa cheeses. It's kind of impossible to tell.
I mean, there are a lot of proxy locations on this map, right? If you think about it, it's not that easy to immediately find a proxy barracks, factory, or starport. So actually, I wouldn't hate it. Apparently, Nina just needs 1 minute. Nina says he's ready now. MaSa's ready as well. So here we go. Game 2 on the way. It's going to be fun. Romanticide. I think MaSa's going to proxy. It's like, you know what? You want to proxy Void Ray me? I've got a couple proxies up my sleeve.
I want to see it. We might as well just get it out of our systems. We're here. It's the NA StarCraft. Just give us your dirtiest, filthiest builds, and let's get this over with, because we all know how it's going to go down, and it's not going to be pretty.
You know what this kind of feels like? It honestly feels like we have a 9-to-5 job when we cast European StarCraft, but then the boss leaves and we're like, party time! That's kind of what what it feels like when you go from Europe Soccer to NA Soccer.
All right, there's the open bar. Okay.
Exactly like that. Bottom right side, representing Team Alpha X, it is our Canadian Terran player, MaSa.
And his opponent in the northwest position, spawning as the Blue Protoss player from Exxon Esports. She is Nina.
MaSa sending an SCV to the bottom side of the map. Well, I wonder if that is to proxy something or if he's just worried about a super early potential proxy gateway coming out of Nina. Nina once again opening up with double gas, but there are a couple of double gas openers where you can still just go one gate fast expand. Well, that probe is met by the SCV. I guess we're going to see eBay block. I feel like once you start eBay blocking, you don't stop. All these staring opponents I face on the ladder, I'm like, yep, this is an eBay blocker. You're either an eBay blocker, Nate, or you're not.
That's true. Well, a lot of people are becoming eBay blockers, but MaSa is definitely one of the guys that really loves to do it over and over again. And you know what? You don't have to worry about eBay blocks, Kevin, if you don't plan on using the space in which said engineering bays are being built. MaSa checks his natural for anything, and is that it? As he's gonna check the natural, I assume the Marine will rally out, right?
Yep, the Marine is gonna check.
You've got to check by the minerals.
Yeah,
it is close enough that if the Marine just goes to the mineral patch, yeah, he should see it. There it is. There's a Stargate. No, still very early on.
Yeah, still a bit difficult, I think, to deal with this. Now, getting the probe would be an awesome catch for MaSa. Gets very close, but doesn't get enough damage out on the end. I do like what MaSa's doing here, putting a couple of SCVs, but since it's on the other side of the mineral wall, I actually think Nina should be able to keep this safe as long as he's able to get a second pylon up here as well. Like, we do need a second pylon. Look at where the probe is coming from, Nate. Will that probe be able to plant the pylon? Yes, the answer is yes.
Okay, so powering this down is going to be difficult. And there's actually a weird amount of risk that you still run into going against these types of builds when you kind of build everything out here. But I also do not see a world where you shouldn't... okay, the Marines are actually dying. Two Marines... Okay, I don't know if two Marines can kill these before we get a Void Ray out.
I actually think
third one's going to be pushed back.
Oh, Nina has another probe coming in. We're going to get more... No, don't lose the probe. MaSa should kill the probe. MaSa should kill the probe, no?
Oh my god.
MaSa killed the probe.
Build a pylon if you're going to build one, please!
Okay, that's insane. I don't know what just happened. Well, this looks very bad for Nina. Nina should have dropped pylons there, and MaSa should have killed the probe and then killed the other pylon. Now we already have Cyclones with Magfield Accelerator on the way before the first Void Ray is even out.
There's no Void Rays coming out. That's what we just learned from the way that went down. Stargate is going to die along with the 4 pylons that were there, 3 pylons, whatever it was. And I guess an Adept too. So I do not believe it is possible for this to really go worse other than the Void Ray finishing and then immediately dying. But even that might have still created more opportunity than what ended up happening, which is unfortunate to say the least.
Well said, well said. I mean, the second probe could have died as well, so Nina saved one additional probe. Well, yeah, now Nina is forced to kind of do something similar to the previous game. It's just that this time it went a whole lot worse. I actually think that Cyclones can just win this game. If I was MaSa and I have Magfield Accelerator here, I never stop building Cyclones, Nate. Like, Cyclones are going to do fantastic here against 1 gateway production, maybe 2 gateways in the near future. If MaSa doesn't mess up the micro, I feel MaSa just wins.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, Magfield Accelerator Cyclones are incredibly strong. The only thing about them that is tricky is Cyclones have very low hit points and they're big boys. So target firing them down is not the most difficult thing since they only have like 120 health. So if the Terran player doesn't have that high ground vision and they have to move the Cyclones physically up the ramp, that's when it becomes actually pretty easy to kill them off. But that's what you need to have the Marines for. Let the Marines stand and fight, let the Cyclones kite, etc.
0 chance, I think. Look, double. Okay, that's... never mind. I was like, that's a mistake. Double lock on a 1 Cyclone or a Stalker, but it wasn't. 1 Cyclone very low on HP, but there's just absolutely nothing going his way in this game. 1 Cyclone does finally fall, but we still have to worry about those 5 other Marines. That 1 Cyclone is going to chase down these probes towards the right side. There is no way. Nina has 2 army supply at this point. 2.
Well, you know, I've heard some songs where they say 2 is better than 1, Kevin.
That is true, but 2
It's not
two
better
Nexi.
than 30.
Well, 2 Nexi is also better than 1, mate.
That is true. That's a good point. I don't think we're gonna have 2 Nexi on the map. Yeah, nope, not anymore. Stalkers are doing a little dance, but Cyclones will just pretty much want to just blow these guys up. Yeah, GG. MaSa ties it up 1 apiece as the do we bring the term out yet? Continues. Little bit of a fiesta. We'll continue this party after the break. We'll see you guys there. What's up, gamers? We're back here with more StarCraft action at the DreamHack Masters. I'm Nate, joined by Roddy. And yeah, been a fun series. Been a fun series so far. Between Nina and MaSa, we had two Void Ray rushes. Neither of them really worked.
Well,
but, in one of the games, the follow-up worked. And in the other game, everything just kind of fell apart as soon as the Void Ray build got scouted.
I would say in the other game, the rush didn't really work because is it really a Void Ray rush if we never get to see a Void Ray?
You just blew my mind. I mean, gosh, I don't know.
That was an attempt. Let's keep it at an attempt.
Yeah, I guess. I got nothing. In the top right, we have the Red Terran player. He's MaSa. You know what it is, Kevin? It's like attempted throws versus completions, you know?
Mate, is this a cannon rush? Why do I... Oh, okay, so... Why are we scouting so early? Anyway, in the bottom left side, we're looking at the main base of the American Protoss player. It is Nina. I got excited for a second because obviously cannon rushing against Terran shouldn't be a thing unless you're playing maybe on submarine, because I know that Max Pax pulled it off a couple times, but on NA, Nate, I just rule nothing out. I'm like living in my own little bubble. Anything is possible if you just believe in it.
Yeah, no, literally anything is possible. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a cannon rush. I wouldn't be surprised if MaSa came out of nowhere and was like, you know what, can I just play Protoss for one game so he could cannon rush? Because that's just the kind of stuff that happens over here.
MaSa once again with the same opening, going for that quick eBay block into a single Marine. And are we going to expand? What I find funny as well is that we barely addressed it, but it's like just super normal apparently that MaSa never drops a command center before a factory. And never drops a command center apparently of a one gas opening. This might very well be the first game that MaSa has something that looks like a somewhat normal build, but...
Nope, there's the factory and he eBay blocked, right? Because his whole point is, I think the entire design of the way that he does this is specifically to try to force... I don't know how I feel about that, but...
That's the Showtime method. Showtime actually did this in one game. I don't know if he did it against Clan, but I remember it on Everdream. So I drop the expand on the right side, eBay gets cancelled, cancel the Nexus, take the natural.
I mean, I can see how that there's definitely some benefits to doing that, I suppose, but we're going to probably have a proxy starport here, which would make a tremendous amount of sense. But like MaSa's whole strategy is I'm going to make you feel like you have to attack me because I did something that makes it hard to just expand quickly. So he just wants Nina to all in him so that he can be like, all right, I just defend this, kill it, or counter and then win.
Oh!
Nina's probe is going right there.
Yep, this SCV is going to have a very hard time completing this starport. I guess this is what happens when two players know each other very well. I gotta say though, I feel like this almost works out for MaSa. I think it's a lot worse if it gets scouted when it's like 70% done, where it's like, oh, I can't complete it, but it hurts so much to cancel. Now you can just cancel immediately and be like, I'll build the starport at home. Like, this is technically not a bad start. Look at the work account. It's 26 against 25. I know, Nate, I've been watching your stream. You would sign for it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure. Why not? Why not? Man. I'm looking at this. I'm thinking to myself, what else is going to happen? Is there going to be a mix-up that kind of like cranks it up, you know, a little bit? That's what I want. That's what I'm waiting for.
Yep. Nina is going to go for the one gate Twilight into two more gateways, so a very standard 3-gate opening. The medevac is now just going to be produced at home, but we still have those Hellions out on the map. How many Hellions is it? Okay, 4. You know what? I wouldn't have minded at all if MaSa would have gone for a 6 or even 8 Hellion opening, where you try to just drive like 2 Hellions in the natural and drop 4 Hellions in the main. Just driving these Hellions in the natural would actually be a great call. I honestly think MaSa can get quite a bit of damage done. There is this entry on the high ground. That force field is barely good enough, but there is still 6 probes going down. Hello? Yes.
Oh. All right.
That last Hellion is like...
Turn the last car around. Go back and pick him up.
So I gotta make Roddy proud. Like, I mean, still a very solid start for MaSa.
Yeah, hey, if you can't get it in with a drop, being able to do any damage at all feels pretty nice after you have to cancel the starport. So, and as you said, that force field was maybe 1 hex away from probably this game being lost very quickly.
MaSa's gonna unload the Hellions, the low HP Hellions in his front though, so that one is gonna get picked off immediately. Will MaSa still get a few more probe kills? Apparently we got 2 probes there already. Make it 3, can we get 1 more? Uno Mas. I mean, this is a really solid start, I think.
Uno MaSa.
Like, if Nina was on 3 bases, now it'd be like, you know, losing 11 probes with killing 4 Hellions. It's not ideal, but I'm okay with it. As a 2-base Protoss, I would absolutely despise losing 11 probes.
Yeah, no, that's a rough place to be in. I mean, all jokes aside, if we're talking about like standard TVP, right? The whole point of the way that this matchup is designed is that the Protoss player gets a little bit of that worker lead, and Nina has, you know, slight, but you're kind of expecting to be somewhere in the realm of like 7 to 8 worker difference. Mules kind of make up for that, right? And then the Terran player brings the pressure to the Protoss because Protoss gets their third base a little bit faster. So if the Terran player just kind of sits back and does nothing, we get what we saw today, actually, which was a pretty decent amount of Zealots will just kill a Terran that takes the third too quickly if they don't deal damage to the Protoss early. So I think the expectations here should be pretty good for MaSa, considering that Terran, just simply put, shouldn't be within 5 workers of Protoss at the start of the match unless they've done something very right, which obviously he clearly has.
Yep, there is a Raven in the mix as well. I agree with everything you just said. And some of those attacks we saw early today, where it's just a bunch of gateway units, can't really work because Nina's third base was simply way too late for that. And on top of that, Nina's of course playing a much heavier gas cell. There's a lot of gas income, so you want to spend that gas on Colossi, Turbo Lens, and all the good stuff, which is going to help out in a normal straightforward game, but there's no way that you can just make some random Zealot Stalker bust here. Like, that's just never going to work. You're not going to have enough units.
Yeah, that's definitely a big issue to keep in mind. I do like that Nina's trying to use those Stalkers to delay a move out as much as possible, as we do finally get to see what appears to be a third command center from MaSa. I'm not very familiar with what happens now. I think almost 99% of his games must end on 2 base no matter what the matchup is, but here we are. And Nina is going to try to do something about that. We've got the Colossus. We have 3 sentries. Without a Warp Prism, though, I don't think you actually try to cross the map, right? She's mostly hoping to catch the siege tanks in the middle of the field.
Yep. Yeah, no, kind of just stall the push. Prevent it from showing up at your front door with the entire army, all units in one place. Does Nina have a bit of vision? There is an observer on the right side, and there is an observer spotting for drops. But there's not really anything that's keeping track of this army. It's obviously hard to keep an observer on top of this Terran army because of the Raven. But if these tanks siege up near the natural, or... Well, there is no wall-off to kill. I thought MaSa knew that. Well, I don't know. I don't know what's happening over here.
Well, I guess the goal is to just try to elevator units up with the 1 medevac and try to have these tanks completely cut the ramp off. I think there's an auto turret dropped by the probe line. I mean, honestly, these minerals are a pretty good wall.
Yep, there's 4 or 5 Marines with steam in the back of the main base. They can actually do quite a bit of damage. A few more probes did fall. MaSa has a couple of reinforcements just kind of stranded in the center of the map. This is a very weird attack because these tanks are sitting here, and it's obviously never very pleasant when you know there are a couple of tanks nearby your base. But these tanks are never shooting at anything that is worth protecting.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, right, he was kind of fighting over space to try and get a position to do the big attack on, which I don't hate. If you kill the Colossi, then this gets a bit easier, but diving on top of it is needed. There you go. There's that overcharged shield battery that you've been begging for, Rotterdam, and that keeps the Big Daddy Colossus alive.
We've got a tiny drop on the right side, but it seems that Nina has already spotted this one, so that's very well done. Nina did a great job in keeping the majority of her probes alive there. I love that she prioritized killing the medevac as well before anything else. Yeah, really great defense. The only thing that Nina should do is keep her money a bit lower. MaSa is now just dropping all the command centers because apparently he wasn't really able to keep his money low either. This is not a normal timing for a 4th and a 5th base at the same time. I gotta say, that fight was one of the weirdest fights I have ever seen. It's like, the tanks are so far away that they really don't do much. And then there was a bunch of Zealots still running into them. Stalk is blinking kind of on top of the tanks from the high ground. There was high ground vision with the medevac, but the tanks are like, no. We're gonna keep shooting at one Immortal. Or the Zealots that are trying to make their way through these mineral patches. A Disruptor showed up out of nowhere. I have no idea what I just saw.
Yeah. No, this one is, I'm trying to like, you know, Da Vinci code this in the back of my mind while I'm listening to you and watching this, and I'm just, it's very interesting. It's a very interesting series that we've had. The fight decisions where MaSa wanted to push. I mean, I feel like if you'd been able to get that position with the tanks on the low ground by the 3rd, you could have maybe done something, but now the 4th is going up. And that 4th base position is pretty hard to attack into and also move out of if you do push into that base.
A lot of Stalkers being recalled there, but there's obviously nothing but Stalkers, and it means the Stalkers are now exposed to all these Marauders. So many units just went down there on Nina's side, And this really didn't seem like the fight that Nina was looking for. The Colossi are in a bit of trouble as well. Overcharge is used to save one Big Daddy Colossus, and that one does stay alive. But yeah, that won't make up for the 10 or so Stalkers that just went down at the 4th base. And obviously all the Zealots and Colossi as well. That was not a good fight for Nina.
No, absolutely not. The power units are mostly dead. We do have, of course, as you said, the 1 Colossus survive. Disruptors are coming out. Nina's going to try and hit the tanks with the Disruptors. Actually does get 1 good hit. And I think with that, the splash, yeah, okay, so that tank dies pretty fast. But now you've exposed yourself a little bit even more. That Archon's going to try to tank it. And I don't think that we have the cooldown for the shield battery overcharge available anymore. So if the Marauders could get through what is here, they could easily kill this Colossus. Nina's just kind of trickling out Zealots, trying to stall this one out as long as possible on the defensive side.
Yeah, I think this one is pretty much all over. There's no army supply at all. The Nova does not go off there as the Disruptor falls before that shot is able to connect. Look at the amount of medevacs. There is a medevac for every single Marauder. That Canadian healthcare really is something special, isn't it, man?
Well, you're telling me, man. Telling me over here on this side of the border. Well, we do have that 4th base being picked off. I wouldn't mind my own personal medevac, Kev. As
it's very satisfying. All these Marauders being healed at the same time,
yeah,
and all of them.
That's the dream, you know? It didn't seem like it was that hard for MaSa to provide that for his army either. Just big shout out, taking care of the boys with the guns over there. And he also double expanded during this too.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, there's a massive drop in the main. Double drop in the main base as well. 1 Nova will blow up a couple of these bio units, but it doesn't save the robotics facility as that one goes down as well. 18 probes went down during all of this. Nina trying to figure out what she could spend her money on, but I don't think it makes much of a difference, Nate.
Yeah. No, that's the thing is it's 100 supply difference. Like regardless of anything that may seem to be going well in one way or the other, you're significantly behind on workers. You're significantly behind on army. There are some good power units, yes. However, I'm trying to look here and see a path to victory, and it just isn't there. If I'm being honest, with this siege up of the tanks, the Colossi can't set the far forward. It's like good force field here, good little move there. I mean, maybe what MaSa needs to do is just build like 7 starports and just build battle cruisers, because there's nothing that would kill that. I don't know. If you can't end the game with a bio parade push. Not entirely sure what else to do.
I think MaSa can.
I'm joking, of course.
Yeah, it's just because he was kind of attacking with like 5 or 6 units at a time. Finds a disrupt here. That one's gonna get picked off. The robots will be unpowered. I think Nina's gonna have a very hard time against this army. But even if this army doesn't get the job done for MaSa, look at the minimap, Nate. It's nothing but red making its way down. MaSa is now up to, I don't know, 6 bases? I feel like you should get a penalty for that in NA StarCraft because I never see that.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that you actually could take 6 bases. I thought it made your first one disappear. Like you're only there's a cap set to that. So today I learned something about StarCraft. That's always fun. The Colossus gets targeted down. It is dead. MaSa finds a way to lose his whole entire army, killing it though. So don't worry, guys. We're gonna have another minute or 2 before his next attack is ready to go.
This is comical.
I'm just like, yeah, bro, just sit, build your army, get it all together, okay? Just get your army together, MaSa.
Yeah. It feels like all he needs to do is relax for 12 seconds until all units show up at the same time. And he's like, no.
I didn't even 10 supply at a time.
One more time with 5 Marauders. These are the Navy SEALs. The few, the many, the brave.
I'm just like, if he had 89 armies, if he had the 90 army supply all together, if he just got it all together in one place, I feel like he could really do something there. You know what I mean?
I just drank some water and my body's like, no. Yeah. MaSa's like, can I lose another fight with 104 supply against 23? He's like, can I take down this Archon near battery overcharge? He's like, well, if it runs away, the answer is yes. He's like, you know what I should do, Nick? Cheeky drop into me.
I'm like, MaSa, I don't know how hard you want to make this look, but I don't think they're gonna nerf Protoss anymore, buddy. I think they're done with that. So you can just play the game. There we go. GG. MaSa goes up 2-1 over Nina.
We're losing a caster over here, Nate. I have made it through a couple play days, but this one is no, I don't know what happened there. MaSa, like you know, the memes aside, other than this game took 4 minutes longer than it really should have taken, because it shouldn't be hard to close out a game where you've got triple the income of your opponent. MaSa did display some fantastic macro, and I think the game-deciding moment was that one fight at the bottom right. Nina decided to recall a couple of her stalkers to that bottom right nexus. That was a questionable decision, especially when they blinked forward into the 6 or 7 Marauders that were stimming, obviously getting perfect shots off. If Marauders shoot at Zealots, it's questionable. If they just have free reign over Stalkers, well, the Stalkers are going to disappear very quickly, and I think from that point on, that game was kind of over. It was cool to see MaSa macroing the way he did and taking all those bases left, right, and center, but I think it all came down to that fight in the bottom right.
Yeah, the endless fight. Yeah, eventually it did end with a fight in the bottom right, though. You're very correct on that one. Where are we going next? Is this that was Gigantha? Now we're on to Pillars of Gold, which is MaSa's pick. I mean, there's only so many maps, right? So I'm sure maybe this is the one. Is this the one where he cheeses? He's up 2-1. I think this is the one where he cheeses.
Well, in a way, I kind of like the way he's opening up. He's like, you know what? I know Nina has a lot of very weird openings up her sleeve. If I just go barracks into factory, it's gonna be safe. Like, I will be safe. I should be able to deal with any opening that's being thrown at me. And if Nina's not doing anything weird, then this is going to give me that slightly quicker access to a factory and a starport, and then maybe I can just deal some economic damage. Let's not forget that the Hellion phase actually went very well for MaSa. I thought MaSa made great calls there. Got 11 probes in total, even managed to save the medevac. These are all things that can normally make or break a game. Now, this game was just, you know, it went on for a long time and it was a bit weird, but the start was solid for MaSa. And why would you change it up, Nate, if it's working out so far?
Why would you? The man who only knows how to engineering bay block to start off a TVP. He's MaSa.
And then our fantastic Protoss in the bottom left side displayed some great fighting spirit in the previous game. It is Nina. Low ground pylon with a low ground gateway. This could mean that Nina is going to try to chrono boost a couple of her very first gateway units and run them to the other side of the map to disrupt the build order of this man who is building a barracks. Nate, you said, is this the map? He's going to proxy something. It is the map. He's going to proxy something.
Yeah, so the whole point of doing it this way is that when Nina's probe gets to MaSa's base, you hope that Nina just assumes MaSa's doing the same thing that he's done every game, except MaSa made one clear mistake. He forgot to engineering bay block Nina's natural. So if you're Nina, and I know that Nina is smart, the first thing that should go through your head is, okay, obviously something is up, because MaSa is not about to just do a boring Reaper expand. The probe is patrolling there, but MaSa, for the very first time, has not built that eBay block. Which just tells, like, if just watching the way that he plays after 3 games, clearly there is something different going on. And I mean, honestly, Nina should take the probe off and hope that a command center gets built. But now that the probe died, she doesn't even get to see that the command center was never going to be built.
This is going to be difficult. It's going to be very, very difficult, right? At least it was Cybercore before Nexus, but I feel that Nina needs to get a shield battery in her natural. If there is a battery there, even if you only have 2 units, they can survive for a while. By the time the battery runs out of juice, you can overcharge it. But if you don't scout this at all, and Marauders unpower your pylon, well, Nate, you're in all sorts of trouble.
Yeah, no, that is the absolute worst case scenario. And what's even more upsetting is, I mean, going for an Adept, like, Marauders don't do bonus damage to Adepts, but if you tag the Adept with a concussive shell, this is a really good scout. If you tag the Adept with the concussive shell, after it finishes, it's battery, and you start the shade after, there's not really much you can do there. You need shield batteries here, and make sure they're in range of the Nexus for the overcharge.
Well, perfect scout. Works out for Nina. Even goes for a temporary full wall off just to buy that little bit of extra time. Well, yeah, actually, Nina's going to be fine here. Obviously, you need to buy a little bit of time before the battery is up and running. but this is going to be fine. This is not what Mana was hoping to run into, even though he gets a couple of good shots off on these units immediately. But if there was no overcharge, I'd still be like, you know, it can be a little bit dicey, but with overcharge, I mean, I don't really see anything to worry about here for Nina.
Well, one Marauder's already pretty much dead. MaSa started his command center back home and the factory. He knows. He knows. The real question is, will he try to research Stim at the Proxy Tech Lab? Because the only reason I could see him staying out like this, as long as he is, because he's not going to break this. I don't see him breaking this.
No.
Especially with the second gateway wall.
Can we?
And Warp Gate about to finish.
Could we get the Cybercore? I mean, who cares anyway, right? Because Warp Gate is going to finish up. Well, MaSa is going to try. He's going to try to get a good fight somehow, some way. There are a couple of SCVs in the mix as well to buffer. Yeah, with a second battery finishing up. MaSa
better
just
off
go
building a barracks and floating it there. I don't know. I don't know what he was thinking when he saw the third gateway finish, but certainly, I couldn't tell me. Yeah, he's going to research Stim at the proxy.
Yeah, even though Nina's defense has been really good so far, there is a little supply block. And at this point, it becomes a little bit awkward as well, right? Because Nina took this very seriously. So it goes Robo and now Robo Bay. So there's no Twilight Tech. In a way, Nina is going to be kind of stuck on her two bases now for a little while. This can still get awkward by the time that Stim finishes up. But I think it's obviously a good start for Nina. One way or the other, this is a really good start.
I just feel like with how well these players should know each other, that since Nina knows where that barracks is, I guess it's risky because you're scared that MaSa is just pulling his SCVs. So I'll give Nina the benefit of the doubt here. But man, when has MaSa ever proxied like that and not built research Stim there?
Yeah,
it's like some sort of weird power move.
But I think it's too risky to go out because you obviously don't know where all the Marauders with those concussive shells are. And then on top of that, there was no way for Nina to get out because
I
didn't have a Warp Prism yet. Maybe with the Prism, you can absolutely try. But I think it's going to be a bit too late as Stim is very close to finishing up.
Yeah, ever since when they took that 30 seconds off the research time, that helped tremendously in this type of situation if you were going to use the proxy for it. I just think of it as like it is mostly because she can't know if the Marauders are just outside the base, because this army would kill everything that she has in the open field.
Yep.
But it wouldn't beat the army trying to go up a ramp with an overcharged shield battery.
I'm still a bit worried for Nina, which is weird because technically she's in a really good position. Up 12 workers, Robo Bay is already out, but I feel like her army is a tiny bit complex and really is going to show up. Could have killed the gateway. I like how Nina almost killed her own gateway, then started healing it up. It's like, wait a minute, maybe it's too early. Maybe there is a bio army coming. Is there a tank inside of it? Ooh, with a single tank. All right, the army's going to move out immediately. Surprise, surprise. Colossus gets dropped out of all of this as well. We've got 2 shield batteries here. That was a cool move by Nina. I actually really like that engagement.
No, that was one of the smartest things I think that she could have done. Just don't lose the Prism or the Colossus right now, and it'll continue to be a good choice. You don't want to let the opponent siege up on you and get up to like 3-4 tanks, because at that point, that's when you're hitting like the 1-shotting Stalkers, 2-shotting Colossi territory. And because you don't have Blink, you can't really avoid clumping up going down the ramp to fight that tank. So jumping on it, definitely the best move that she could have made.
I do think Nina makes a small misread here, thinking that the pushing phase is over. Well, with MaSa, it's never over, so this Nexus is going to get cancelled immediately. Warp Prism on the other side of the map. Nina has to be very careful, and she is. And I think this Colossus should be able to get a handful of SCVs quite easily, as we do have a drop in the main base as well. Okay, that's very well done by MaSa. As Nina, her army, before Blink is on, it's very hard to deal with drops, I think.
Yeah, no, it's very difficult without the Blink. And also, she's trying to micro the Prism, right? With the Colossus, trying to get some damage done over here. Combat Shield is researching over there. Liberator does get picked off, though. That's a very nice grab for Nina. Buys her a little bit of breathing room. But at the same time, it's a 2-base toss versus a 2-base Terran, which at the end of the day is going to be good for the Terran player, right? With the metagame, with what people are used to, you expect the Protoss to have a little bit more money to spam out those charge lots, right, for tanking for the army. But MaSa is keeping that pressure up so strong.
Oh, that was a sick cancel. I can't believe that MaSa just left all the super low HP units there just to keep an eye on whether or not Nina is going to try to go up to 3 bases one more time. And the moment he did, he's immediately there to cancel it. Very well done. One brave Marine is going to try to gun down this Prism, but that ain't working out. Yeah, this game is very well. The matter of fact did get sniped on the left side. Now these Marines are going to try to get at least 1 stock kill. That ain't working out. It's going to come down to execution, Nate. I technically think that MaSa is now in an alright shape because he's done a tremendous job in double canceling the Nexus. But one good Purification Nova or perhaps more Warp Prism and rest, and then I think it's actually going to be okay. Nina, 3 Colossi. Okay, that's more than I thought. I thought it was 2. Comes down to the engagements.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. If you control the army, if you split well, you can do a lot of damage to the Terran. If it's a Protoss player, if you can get the jump on them and isolate and target those clumps of bio, especially with 3 Colossi, the amount of AoE there, then you can rip this army to pieces. It's just, it is, as you said, it comes down to the execution, the control of the mouse, making sure that you're getting the right clicks going and not walking into siege tanks. That's something that you have to be very cautious of. Nice disruptor shot, but yeah, maybe need to pick a different angle of approach now that there's 3 tanks sieged up here.
Yeah, but I actually do love the fact that Nina's out on the map because you want to delay this push from arriving at your front door. So I actually think this is kind of the right way to do it. It seems that MaSa was going to try to go for a massive drop in the main base while hoping that Army was just staying on the right side. But Nina had an excellent observer placed there on the left and actually saw that Army movement. Can the Marines get the Warp Prism? No. You can never get a Warp Prism with speed. Maybe the Stalkers though in return. What is this?
Oh, okay. See, this is when you're trying to style, you're trying to do some weird dancing, but hey, oh, the disruptor, good hit. The Colossi are all still alive, so all of a sudden what seemed like it was a bit of a meme, maybe that was just to delay the splash damage from not being able to hit the actual army. However, without a prism and no ability to reinforce this, I do ask myself how much of a timer this could be on the Stalkers. Blink forward, got the next tank, the SCVs have been pulled. But if any more Vikings come out, that's where I'm nervous because the Stalker count definitely took a beat in there.
Yeah, Stalkers are pretty expensive. Like, keeping the Colossi alive is safe, but you really don't want to lose 6 or 7 Stalkers over and over again in those kinds of fights. But all of that did work out for Nina. I mean, Nina kind of completely reset the entire army of MaSa. MaSa has 2 tanks. I only see 1 tank in position. I don't think Nina needs to be this aggressive, but hey, maybe with the Warp Prism showing up, warping in a few more Zealots, she can actually get the job done here.
Now, I think you can go for the frontal assault. I believe it looks like MaSa has some units already in place if the Prism tried to go to the main. I think a turret's being built. So there's no... Okay, never mind. The turret's not being built there. He just put the depots at the edge. So I was like, maybe you could try to go that way, but I think she has what she needs to kill this army regardless. Yeah, GG. Nina ties the series up 2-2. And we get to go to game 5 of this wacky and wild Terran vs. Protoss. We're going to be bringing you that game number 5 after this short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're currently tied 2-2 between Nina and MaSa. We've had some void ray rushes. We've had proxy racks now. The boys have been pulled, and the probes have been as well. I'm Nathaniel, joined by Rotterdam, and we have absolutely no idea what the hell is going to happen in this final game.
No, but we do know that it is going to be played on Oxide, which I do think is a map that plays out somewhat similar to Pillars of Gold. If you think about it, these maps are really not that different. Bottom left against top right, high ground expand. Well, pretty straight, direct path to attack your opponent. So we will see how this one play out. I don't think that the MaSa is going to do something similar to the previous game. Obviously, it didn't really work out, and there's no need to do it. I kind of wish that MaSa would have done that build on literally any map that's not Oxide or Pillars of Gold, because there's no ramp going into the natural on like every other map. Like on Lightshade, I think that build would have been really cool. On Romanticide, well, bit of a big map, but sure, could have been really cool. It just doesn't make sense on Pillars of Gold and Oxide, in my opinion.
No, I completely agree with you there. Completely agree with you. Picking the maps that have the ramps into the natural is a pretty awkward place to try to cheese with ground units that have range. In the top right here of Oxide, though, we have the red Terran player. He is MaSa.
At first, SCV is leaving the base very early. Nathaniel's in the bottom left side of Oxide. We're looking at the main base of the American Protoss, who has just managed to tie up the series. It is Nina. So we're just going to eBay block 4 out of 5 games.
Is this it? Is this it? See, this is how you know he's not proxying you. Right? Is he gonna? Oh. Is he adapting? Someone texted him. Someone's like, "Yo, Nathan pointed it out, dude." It's like, you gotta change it up. I guess maybe. Yeah, there you go. Oh, miracles happen. There you go.
I wonder if Nina's gonna pull 4 probes, like a lot of the European Protosses have done to deal with this. Well, it's just 3 probes for now. It takes a little while. The SCV just gets like a couple more drills in though. That eBay gains HP so quickly. Look at that SCV. It's like, no, that's my life's work. Don't do it.
That's my baby.
Let me finish what I started.
I honestly, if the probes all stayed on it, I was fully expecting MaSa to just start another eBay and then cancel the other one in the same frame.
Actually, I've seen people do that. That's not that bad of a play, actually.
Yeah. Reminds me of the old days when you'd see somebody build a cybernetics core over a Zerg's natural, and I'm like, what? people be wilding out here.
I may or may not have been guilty of that.
Yeah, but when you do it, you're like very good at these weird types of games though. So like you've already kind of planned all of it out ahead. But sometimes like there's just like someone's just like, no, I'm just gonna build cybernetics core. I already have one.
You're giving me way too much credit, Nate. I just sit there and press buttons, okay?
I'm your biggest fan, Kevin. I'm your biggest fan.
All right, Nina's gonna drop the Stargate in this very important game 5. As MaSa is gonna open up once again with the factory, and is that a second
rack?
All right, so MaSa's gonna go for 1 base all in here.
He's doing the rough build. It's the rough build. It's gonna be a 1 base 2-1-1. That's it. He's gonna get stim and try to build some medevacs and do a 1 base SCV pull. That's yeah.
You think it's gonna be stim?
I mean, why not, right?
Because it takes forever to get stim here.
You'd think that.
I think it's just going to be a basic Marine tank Liberator all in. Maybe 1 medevac and then a Liberator. But
maybe.
Nina is going for the Stargate. I think against the Twilight opening, I think this would be a pretty sick call. Against Stargate, well, it could work, but I'm actually... I think Stargate is sometimes a bit questionable against 1 base all-ins. If they are proxying it, then it's actually kind of close to your base. But this isn't very close to the base at all, right? This is in their base. So it takes a long time for those units to make it to the other side of the map. Nate, this is it. Game 5. Winner moves on. Loser gets eliminated. And MaSa is kind of putting it all on the line, as a couple of SCVs have been pulled as well with this push. Okay.
Well, there it is. I thought that it was going to be a different sort of setup, but it's really just I wanted the extra racks just so I could pump out an extra Marine per production cycle with that as MaSa gets ready to rock and roll. And this, right here.
Maybe? I want to point out that there is absolutely zero anti-air at this point in the main base of MaSa. Every Marine is being rallied to the other side of the map, so this one Oracle of Nina can deal a tremendous amount of damage, and that also means that MaSa really needs to start going with his little attack, pedal to the metal. I don't think he's going to be able to kill that Cybercore before Warpgate finishes up, but yeah, if I'm Nina, at this point I feel like you know that you have to take this as serious as possible. We see a Void Ray being chrono boosted out as well. Not chrono boosted yet, should be chrono boosted out. Extra batteries, extra pylons. You can even sacrifice your natural here. Alright, overcharge being used. I mean, that's quite a few Marines. Wow, look at how well these targets are doing. Even when they're all clumped up, even when they're sharing the damage, nothing's dying, Nate.
Wow, it's almost like this is a good ability to use occasionally. However, unfortunately, very similar to that Showtime game, though. I guess if the tanks go too far away from the bunker, then it gets a little bit easier with the Void Ray. I'm not really sure, though. But if they get the bunker and multiple tanks outside your base, it's very hard to crack this.
Nina can defend on one base, though. Nina doesn't have to keep her natural alive at all costs. Just don't lose the Void Ray. Probes being pulled as well. Can we get a prismatic alignment on the tank? The answer is yes. That is a great move by Nina. The other oracles are starting to show up as well, and I actually think Nina's doing this. I don't care how many probes are falling. If it's 2 base against a 1 base Terran with no stim.
You bring a very good point. Unlike that game, this is a straight up 1 base all in. So a very fair point to bring. He's got the Viking here. This is as MaSa as a game of StarCraft gets, by the way. This is just the 1 Viking, 6 Marines, and a Medevac and an SCV stutter stepping against slow Zealots and a Void Ray in the natural of the opponent. It's a wild, wild world out there. And
yep.
Yeah, 31 probes to 18 SCVs is also just very cash money.
The extra shield batteries really helped out as well. Nina does lose a Void Ray, but I don't think this really changes anything. MaSa is ultra all in with his opening and just didn't get the damage done that he's looking for. Since this is a game 5 in the playoffs, MaSa's obviously going to try his absolute best to make something out of this, but I think he knows that he is in a world of trouble and needs a modern day miracle to win this game.
Yeah, so the Oracles together come back. They're going to microwave some more SCVs. One of them dies. Second one barely slips out for now.
Just get Twilight, Nina. I feel like Nina should just get a Twilight right now. You get a Twilight, you get Charge, and you cannot lose.
Don't go down the rabbit hole, Nina. She's still building Void Rays. That makes me nervous. Is there going to be another one after this one? I hope this is the last one. Just try to get back to a normal army composition. Just get Charged, right? Just get Charged. Yep. You should be fine.
I think that's Nina's plan. As we see, the Twilight Council has been warped in. Just keep on warping in gateway units, even though it feels really weird to warp in like slow adepts or, without glaives or slow zealots. Just any unit right now is a good unit for Nina because MaSa is so damn committed. I don't know if we really need to be here, but hey, maybe we can get a fight before the tank is sieged up. There's a stasis trap there as well. MaSa is gonna walk into the stasis trap with just 3 moves.
Okay, so a little bit anticlimactic there, but not the end of the world. I mean, at the end of the day, that Twilight, I was gonna say the Twilight's done, and still Charge is not yet started. It's a decent amount of Marines with a Medevac, the SCV. I'm just surprised he hasn't brought in all the remaining SCVs over at this point.
Chrono Boost Charge, Nia Commander. So, okay, I actually don't like this very much. Slow Zealots have absolutely zero micro potential. Somehow they get on top of Marines. Don't ask me how that's possible. Well, okay, these Marines just killed... Oh, these Zealots...
NA StarCraft, baby. That's how.
I felt like that was almost the only way to potentially lose it, but I guess MaSa really didn't want to lose his tank or something, but now Nina's got all the time in the world to get Charge, and the moment that Charge is done, there's just no way. There's absolutely no way for MaSa.
Dark Shrine 2, I think, is also 300 IQ, considering that the Terran player has only 1 orbital command, and they've lost so many SCVs that mules basically are the economy.
Mm-hmm.
Combat Shield as well now. Is it... He didn't get stim yet, did he?
I like how MaSa's like, you know what? Can I expand here? I'm like, well, no, but it's not against the rules. You won't get a penalty point for it. You don't lose any prize money. He's like,
well, yes, but actually, no.
I mean,
and then Nina's got her 3rd.
Yep. MaSa's going to see that Nina's going up to 3 bases before he is going up to 2 bases. Nina had 5 Stalkers in position, but they have been pulled away by these 2 random Vikings. And is this the start of an epic comeback, Nathanius?
I believe, as we said earlier, literally anything is possible when it comes to American StarCraft.
No.
There are no limits to the bounds of depravity.
Nina's up 15 workers, upper base, and technically has better units since charge is done. +1 armor is on the way as well. I believe in anything is possible, but I don't believe that it's possible to lose this game. As the Vikings are going to fly over the Stalkers, they're going to get picked off as well. Obviously, Nina doesn't have to be the aggressor here, but if you can end it, well, it's kind of hard to run into 2 tanks on the high ground, actually, but Nina doesn't give a damn. She's going to go for it. Let these Zealots shine. This is a somewhat questionable fight for the Zealots, but the tanks are going to get lifted on the high ground, Nate. MaSa just really has no DPS in his army.
Yeah, siege tanks being removed allow the Stalkers to step forward with impunity. Very important. And the only other tank... Okay, so this one finally gets dropped down now, but not too much more that can be done there either. And I don't know. I don't know if MaSa's going to leave this game until every single unit of his is dead. There's a DT in there too, by the way, so that This is just super dead. GG! Nina does it! 3-2!